Welcome to Driven to Discuss, where myself, Don Smith, and my co host, Rich Warren, we talk about things that have to do with trucking, things that have to do with the industry, and sometimes some really oddball, stuff that may have nothing to do with it. But in one way or another, we hope to provide good information and maybe a little bit of entertainment. So normally we have a guest on, but this week we're not going to have a guest. It's just going to be Rich and myself, and we're going to talk about side hustles. Since we're truck drivers, we're on the road a lot, but we do have some spare time. And I know I have a couple of side hustles, and Rich has his. But basically, we're going to tell you about what we do. Like my side hustle, I do trucker threads. It's not just me; it's my wife and my daughter and myself, and my other daughter's help too. And we print apparel. That's one of our main side hustles, and we have a website that we sell stuff on. But there may be side hustles that maybe you never thought about, or you just needed some good ideas. So stick around to the end, and we're going to go through, I think, what is it, Rich? The top five from each of us of what
Yeah,
we
we each
think.
have our own top 5.
Yeah, yeah. So let's start out by just telling you what our side hustles are. Um, I told you my idea, but I'm going to let Rich go and give you what he has, and then I'll tell you a little more in detail of some of mine. Go ahead, Rich.
All right. Well, my side hustle is actually a board game company. Since I was a kid, I always wanted to play cards with my grandparents, play board games with my grandparents, play board games with my friends and brothers. And what started out as a joke has turned into a somewhat lucrative side hustle. The first game that I created, the name of the company is 48 Games because technically it was 46 games because I was 46 years old when I made the game, and it's a play on the D&D dice roll. And so when we had everything set up, we started all the social media, we went to make the website, somebody had already had 4D6, and we're like, crap. So we had to change it. So we changed it to 4D8 because that was the age I was approaching at that time, and it still fit the whole dice scheme. The first game that we created is called That's Your Opinion. This game got started, the whole thing got started completely as a joke. I was at my friend's house one night. We were playing Cards Against Humanity. And I'm a very competitive type person, and I never win at that game. It drives me absolutely crazy. And I was kind of throwing a fit about how I could have used that card on that question. Well, why didn't I have this? This game sucks. You all are cheating. You're voting for them just because you know which one's my answer. Just typical BS that most people will throw out there during a game of Cards Against Humanity.
Sounds like my
So
happens.
yeah. So my buddy was like, "Well, if you think it's so great, why don't you make one of your own?" And so I said, "I will." Totally didn't that was going to be I never thought about it past that. Well, a couple days later, I'm driving around in a truck, which truck drivers can come up with some great ideas because we got nothing but time to think. So, being a smart ass, I thought I will make a game just to screw with them. So, I made this game called That's Your Opinion. It's kind of like Cards Against Humanity because, again, it was just supposed to be a spoof, it was supposed to be a joke. But my game doesn't have any cards that you have to play and match and pick. All of the answers in my game are done off the top of your head. So, one of the questions in the game might be name your favorite pizza topping. Sounds easy, right? Well, the spin is that instead of having a card, everyone goes around the table and gets to choose or draft their own answer. So if me, you, and a third person was playing, you would pick maybe pepperoni. Then the next person might pick extra cheese. I might pick sausage. Well, maybe you wanted sausage. You have the option to steal once per question card. So then what you do is you do 4 rounds at the end of the at the end of the 4 rounds, everybody votes on the best selection of answers, and whoever has the best selection wins. Now, there's a little bit of actual strategy to this because one, you have the steal option. Two, do you give out an answer really early, knowing that somebody at the table that like when we used to play this, my ex-wife's favorite musician was Prince. So whenever we had a question that came up about a musician, everybody knew to wait till she either took it and then steal it from her and make her mad, and that made the game fun, or you wait until toward the end when nobody can steal anymore because you only get one steal, And when everybody's out, then you take that answer so nobody can steal it. So there's a little bit of a strategy that goes into it as well. So when I made the game, I didn't really realize what I had stumbled upon. So we played it with my friends and they're like, this game is great. And I'm like, you guys are being jerks. This was just to be funny. Blah, blah, blah. And they're like, no, seriously, this is great. We played it for a couple months. Every night we got together to play games. They wanted to play my game. And it was literally index cards with questions written on it. It was so how you create a board game is, from the very beginning, the sticks and stones, that's all it was index cards. And everybody had a blast with it. And then they all started telling me, oh, you should make it. You should do this. Well, it was right about the time of the pandemic, and I was getting those pandemic checks. And I was like, well, I'm working. I didn't get stuck at home. I had full pay, full-time job. So I took one of those pandemic checks and I got a hold of a company over in China because that's where everybody prints most of their stuff because it's so cheap. And I think it cost me with this box. Now this has a really cool box. Everybody likes the box. It's got a magnet flap on the front and then it's got dividers inside because we have expansion packs that we're going to create, stuff like that. So when I actually thought about making the game, we put a little bit more thought into it. But I think with the nice box, the cards, shipping, everything, one game cost me roughly $3.50 to make. In the real world, I should charge $29.95 for this game.
Right.
We only charge $19.95 on our website, which is 48games.com.
So, back to how you win. I mean, it's the person that has the most answers. Is that how it works?
Everybody votes for who had the best selection of answers. So it's like Cards Against Humanity. It's still a favoritism type thing, but it's still fun.
So I am curious about this. Normally when something like this comes together, it's a great idea in the beginning, and then obviously you test it out with playing with your friends. And so wasn't there some of your friends saying, well, maybe you should change this rule, Rich, or add this to the game? Did you modify it along the way, or has it stayed pretty much the same since you made it?
There wasn't a lot of modification. The game is pretty much in its original form. And I did jump on a Facebook group and some YouTubes, and I even found some podcasts about creating board games. And I listened to those, watched those, jumped onto Facebook groups. And I had kind of accidentally done just about everything that I should do for a game. The only thing that I hadn't done yet was tested it at least 100 game hours. So what I did is I went to local card shops, like where they sell comic books, board games, things like that. And I would go in and ask them, hey, can I use one of your tables one night to demo a board game? And they're like, yeah, sure. So I would set up a night. I'd put it on Facebook. Hey, we're going to be at this place at this time. And I would buy pizza and I would give out free pizza, and people would come in and they would test my game and I would get feedback. And every time that we played it, people had a lot of fun with the game. People were like, can we buy it? And I'm like, no, it's index cards. It's being worked out. And we really never it had like an 85% satisfaction rate. The only people that didn't care for it were kids under 13 and people over like 60. Those were the two demographics that, man, you could take it or leave it. Most of the people in the middle thought it was great. The only thing that we didn't have in the game at that time was the steal option. That was actually brought to the game by my brother Henry. When we were getting in the game, he goes, it feels like it needs something to kind of like cause chaos. And I was like, okay, what do you suggest? And he came up with the steal option. Outside of that, the original concept was just something I had created in the truck one day.
Right. Well, yeah, games need that thing you throw down that it bums out one player but excites another, kind of like Uno, dropping a draw four.
Correct.
And then being able to compound it where people start dropping multiple drop fours on top of it or whatever, or reverse. And so that was a pretty good suggestion that your brother had, that you said.
Yep.
Yeah,
And I learned a lot about the psychology behind board games and music and movies. They actually, all three of those have something in common. Music, movies, and board games all have like where it's like a song starts out and you're waiting for this payoff, and then you get the bridge or you get the chorus and you get that payoff, or you get that there's like a tenseness in the song or the movie, and then you get a release at some point. board games are the exact same way. You have to have that tenseness like the steel option. It kind of created that animosity so that you have a payoff at the end, because that steel actually created a lot of strategy for the game. Because like I had mentioned, do you wait to steal? Do you steal early? Because once an item has been stolen, it can't be restolen. So do you steal something real early in the beginning to get your favorite, or do you pick things that you think the other people at the table are going to want so you get their vote? There's actually a real complex underlying strategy to the game that Steele created.
Well, and I think that it goes along with that saying, it's revenge. And how is revenge best served? Cold, you wanna get it. So that was good. So I've bought your game and, we played it a bit, but I forgot about it, and, I feel bad, sorry, but we did play it. And, how many other games do you have, or do you have anything in the works right now,
We
or
have one in the works right now, which is actually everybody says the new game that we've come up with is better than this first game. And the second game that I created is called Cops and Robbers. You can pre-order it on the website right now. We don't have it sent to the US yet. We spent a lot of time on this one. One of the things that I did wrong on my first game was the artwork. The artwork is very, it's not AI. I had somebody make it, but it's very unprofessional. It's very kid-like. And so on the second game, we actually hired an artist who hand drew every single one of the cards. But basically, the concept behind the game is kind of a takeoff of Old Maid. Everybody at the table holds up their deck of cards, and you reach over and you play an action card. An action card is either a cop or a robber. There's three cards in the game: cop, robber, citizen. So if you play a cop or a robber down in front of you, you are looking for the other person's opposite. So if you play a cop, you're trying to draw a robber. If you lay down a robber, you're trying to find someone's citizen, because the citizens have dollar amounts on them. So you're trying to steal the money. The person at the end of 5 rounds, whoever has the most money, wins the game. So if you have a robber and you reach over and you grab someone's cop, oh no, you got busted. Your robber goes to the discard pile or jail, and he's removed from the game.
Oh, wow.
So basically, you draw at the beginning of each turn and you try to collect as many dollar citizen cards as you can. And the person at the end with the most money wins. The reason I created it was for my niece and nephew who are a little younger. And I thought, oh, this would be an easy math game. It's 5, 10, 15, 20. It's, nominals of five.
Right.
So we tested it, and I did the same thing. I went to game stores. I even tested the first game. I tested it on TikTok. I would read the card and then everybody would write their answers. So I tested it all over the place. Well, the second game, what I started doing, like here in Oregon, I went to a local ice cream shop. They have a frozen yogurt here in Hermiston called Hermiston Froyo. And the guy was like, yeah, bring your game in. I'll give everybody that comes in $2 off a large cup of Froyo, and we'll test your game. So people came in and I had index cards and we played
And
cops and robbers, and people loved it. I mean, grandmas, kids. I had teenage girls who came in for Froyo. They walked over and they're like, what's this? Because I had my original game out there and I had the cards, the cops and robbers. And I said, well, it's a new game that I've created. You guys want to try it? And they're like, sure. One girl was like, no, come on, this is dumb. No, the one girl was like, no, let's play one hand. The girl that didn't like it ended up giving me her Instagram before she left and wanted to make sure she got a copy when it became available. And these teenage girls, there were four of them. These four teenage girls sat and played this for like a half hour.
right on. That's cool. Well, they actually had to be exposed to it and, decide if they liked it. So that's good. That's a good test. So, okay, well, you have a
How did you start your clothing business?
um, my daughter asked a question. It wasn't me, actually. It was, which daughter was it? Our oldest? Yeah, our oldest daughter. She's 19 now, but she was young. This was back in 2017. Yeah, 2017, my oldest daughter, she said, how are t-shirts made, like printed t-shirts? And my wife said, well, they print them. And she goes, yeah, well, how though? How do you get that print on there? And my wife says, well, I don't really know. Let's Google it and find out. I mean, everybody seems to know about silk screen or screen press. And so she Googled it and they started looking into it, and there was all these different ways of doing it. That's just one way to print apparel. And she said, well, I want to I want to print my own shirt, you know. And at the time, I think it was that same year, there was what's called merch by Amazon, which I know you can sell things on Amazon as an independent person, or Amazon actually has a thing that they control and run, and you can submit your designs and then they'll print them. um, it's called print on demand. They'll print these designs, they'll put them out there for people to buy, they'll send them out. You don't do anything except for collect the money. And so they started doing that. And we, when it comes to a side hustle, being specific really helps a lot of times. And so there's a million different shirts you can print. And so I think mostly we started out with ham radio. Yeah, I think so. Ham radio was like our thing because we were trying to find a niche. And so my wife, I was real big into CB radio and that kind of thing back in the day. And she was asking me, well, if you were going to put something on a shirt that had to do with ham radio, what would it be? And I go, oh, well, a big like signal meter that's on a radio is like iconic. It doesn't matter what radio you get, it's always going to be pretty much the same meter. And it doesn't matter if they're in CB or whatever. And so they did that and they did that and it became one of them became a really good seller. Well, we started learning that there's a lot more involved than printing. It has to do with keywords, what's trending, basically how to get eyes on the product that you're making. What's that? The what of it? Oh, the theft, yes, yes, and the theft. So, we didn't know anything, so next thing we know, we're seeing our ham shirt, other people are printing it and putting it on there, so basically it was, copyright, they're stealing our designs, and I started Googling them, and I was finding them on the internet on different websites, like these people from other countries that were stealing it.
Wow.
Yeah, we learned the hard way, and you would think you can just get a hold of a lawyer or somebody and then just have it stopped. Yeah, it's not that easy, especially if they're from out of country. And then even in Amazon itself, you can't just tell Amazon, hey, somebody stole my design, go stop them. You have to actually fill out this whole form. You have to submit, I guess you call it a complaint. They have to investigate it. You got to prove it's yours. And I was so disgusted over the whole thing. I'm like, this is dumb. You come up with a good idea and people are literally copying word for word your descriptions and titles and then the actual print. And it's hard for the person that made it to be able to stay on top of that, especially if you've got hundreds of shirts out and you can imagine the work that would have to be done. So, I got involved at this point and I said, well, why don't we just print our own at home and then we'll just make our own website? And so we did. And that was a whole new thing. I mean, people think, well, I can just screen press, right? We'll just buy a screen press. Well, there's a lot more involved than that. I mean, a good screen press that has enough colors, you're looking at a minimum of like used equipment, like $2,000, $3,000. Newer ones that have enough colors and stations, you're looking at $6,000 to $8,000, to get that. And there's all these other ways you can print. Like they have a DTF or DTG, which is kind of like your printer you print with paper, except for you put a shirt in there. That machine was like $20,000 with all the
Holy
stuff.
cow.
Yeah, and so we're learning this. We're like, wow. I mean, how much money do we need to like have a full print shop? There's things like sublimation. We didn't get into that, but for specific reasons, because you're limited on what colors you can print. What color garment. Um, there's DTF, which is what everything's going to now, where you print it on a film, like a clear film, and then you place it and you press it and it transfers the ink onto the shirt. And that the whole industry is like going to that right now. And so we invested, I think all total it was like $40,000 into this. We got a DTF or no, DTG. We got a screen press, although it was only a 4-color 4-station. We ended up getting, I call it the pizza maker, but it's a conveyor that dries the shirts. It looks like a big pizza maker is what it looks like. And so we started doing this and we learned this is where I started learning everything about business. Like, how do so you have all the equipment. How do you get people to buy shirts? And basically, sorry, we have a little cat fight going here, and the dog's breaking it up. Right. Um, so so I started looking around our rural area. You've been here, Rich, so you know how rural it is. And I located one of our biggest businesses, which is like it's a big ranch, and they own a restaurant, and they do like specialty meats, like for beef or pork and that kind of thing. And this gal had like a really big social media presence on Instagram, like major business. And I just did what people call cold calling. Basically, I sent her an email laying out who we are, what it is I'm proposing to her, and what benefit it would be to her. And that's the short form of it. I actually did some research on what shirts she was selling in her business, who was printing them, what kind of quality it was, and she took me up on it. And I did that with a couple of other businesses that were not as big as her, and they were like, "Yeah, let's give it a try." And basically, right out the gate, we were able to do enough business to where I can literally stop driving truck and do this. And I was blown away. I'm like, wow, a
Wow.
side hustle like went to, we can possibly make $10,000 a month, which would be enough to live on. And so we really got into it. But the whole time I'm still working at Walmart, and it's like I don't have time for all this. And so my wife and my daughter were doing it. And my wife got really sick here about a year and a half ago, and we sold pretty much the whole business except where we still have a DTF set up, so we could still print. But it's still our thing. We've just backed off for a little ways. Um, we do a thing called Fourth Wall, which is a third party company through. I don't know who it's through. They're just called Fourth Wall, but they will when you see shirts and hats and all that on YouTube below a video, a lot of times that's Fourth Wall, and it's basically a print on demand company, and so we're back to that now, but to where we just upload our designs, and then they actually give you web space, and we have our own URL, which is trekkerthreads.com. And so you can build this whole website for free, and then they will print them when people order them. We don't have to do anything except for just collect the money and pay the taxes. And so that's kind of our whole story with printed apparel. We do the hats also. I didn't do this one. This is actually from work, but I mean, um, we have embroidery that's done through Fourth Wall, and so that's our thing. That's what we do. And I know that that's not a big thing for a lot of people, but, it all started from my daughter asking a question.
Some of the best ideas start so simple. Like, mine was just to be a joke and to, tease my friends when they tell me to make a game. Okay, fine, I will. And, here we are 3 years later and I'm on my second game. So,
Well, and, the thing is that, when I talk to people about doing a side hustle, they're like, "Well, I work full time. Why would I wanna do more?" And it's like, well, I mean, I get that, but there's things we're passionate in life where we like doing it, and if you can make extra money, then, then that's a side hustle. If you do things and don't get extra money out of it, that's called a hobby,
yep,
you know? And, so I don't know. That's why here at the end of the broadcast, we'll talk about our ideas of what people might want to do because,
yep,
there's a lot of common interest out there. Yours and I's idea is kind of unique, I think, a little bit. I think a lot of people would be like, why would I want to print apparel? Well, if it's not your thing, then you don't. You wouldn't want to do that. And so we'll come up with some ideas in the end. But so there's our stories. I think right now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go to the Warren report, which if you watch this normally, you know that Rich will do what's called a Warren report. And it's gonna be some news stories that may or may not have to do with trucking, maybe funny, maybe not. And so I'm gonna go ahead and let you take it away, Rich, with the Warren report.
All right. So this week in the Warne Report, you guys might remember a couple episodes back about the zebra, the pet zebra that escaped and was running up and down Highway I-20 or the Expressway 24 in Tennessee. Well, Ed the zebra has been found. Now, I know recently there's been a lot of memes and social media plights about Ed the zebra. They had him at the Waffle House and a bunch of other places. They did find him. They did capture him. They had to go into the woods and rescue him and bring him out with a sling. He has been returned to his owner and he is back home safe and sound. So I got a question for you. What do Nostradamus, Zoltar from the movie Big, and Ryu Tatsuki have in common?
They're all in the movies? I don't know.
Well, close. They are all fortune tellers. A Japanese graphic novelist and psychic has foretold a major disaster that will befall Japan in 2025. People are so scared that they have lost 50% of their tourism this year alone already. This manga artist, Ryo Tetsuki, has drawn comparisons to the blind Bulgarian mystic Baba Vanga, who apparently is another a high, well known uh, psychic, because she predicted global events such as the deaths of Freddie Mercury and Princess Diana, and even the pandemic that happened in 2020.
Ooh.
For her latest apocalypse prophecy outlined in 2021, she has a book or a comic that says "The Future I Saw," which play on words because she's blind, and she predicted a calamity that was going to happen July 5th of 2025. So, if this hasn't aired by July 5th, we'll find out what actually happened, if anything happened in Japan. And my last story this week is something that I would say is near and dear to my heart, but something I might know a little bit about. The title is called Ozempic Penis. Doctors have done a clinical trial for the weight loss drug and claim men who use it are getting larger members. In reality, it's just men losing the belly fat in that upper area just above it, which makes it look bigger. Word is women are finding this study hard to swallow. Back to you.
I knew that was coming. I knew that was coming. I waited for it and it came.
I
Oh,
try to
jeez.
give you at least one joke per episode.
Uh, maybe we'll put a link in the description for Ozempic for those of you that
I have a link to the actual news story if you want to read more about it.
I'll put it in there. So, okay, now at this point, we came up with a list of 5. Rich, being the much more organized person, has listed his out of his ideas of what a good side hustle is. I pretty much just winged it. I'm not much for writing stuff down, so let me go ahead and just say what my list is and see if you've already got them. Now I'm a truck driver. I kind of am relating it to truck drivers, I guess, but I guess it could be anybody. Like what most people are interested in. As a truck driver, my first thought was, well, we like to drive, maybe Uber or DoorDash or one of those type of things.
My
Um,
number 4.
yeah, and I don't know if that's something you'd really I don't know if I would enjoy meeting different people, but I mean, um, you can make money without putting any money out. You have to have a decent car, but
Here's the
that might
great
be it.
thing about that. If you don't want to do the rides, Uber now allows you to choose rides,
Yeah.
food, or they have a new one called pet care where you can pick up somebody's pet, take it to the vet, or take it from the vet back to the house. The other thing that's great about the Uber and the DoorDash is all of the miles that you drive in your vehicle are tax deductible at the end of the year. Now, I started doing this when I moved to Oregon so that I could learn the streets, learn the towns, see the different areas. I went to Seattle and saw the Space Needle, did DoorDash and Uber out there. All of those miles that I drove to and from home and during the job are all tax deductible. And I can average anywhere from $100 to $200 a day in 6 to 8 hours.
Right. Yeah, a friend of mine, he just got into Uber here like 2 months ago. He's up in Alaska. He's up in Anchorage. And yeah, some of the stuff you're telling me, he was telling me about and the write-offs and It's been interesting. He's told me all the different angles that he's done, how busy he's been. It sounds interesting, but I don't know if I'd want to drive more. But I mean, some people may want to do a side hustle and they don't want to put a they don't want to put money out, or maybe they don't want to do a bunch of prep. It's a good thing just to jump into. I mean, you got a smartphone and a decent car, you're good.
That's it.
Hop in there. Yeah. But, my other thought, and I don't wanna make it all just men, it seems like maybe that's what I was thinking, but my other thought was a lot of people like woodworking. Um, a lot of people have a garage or a shop or whatever. Their hobby is to, make things out of wood and that kinda thing, and I thought, that wouldn't be a bad side hustle, but why would it be just limited to that? To open it or make it more broad for people to, maybe get some vision on what they'd wanna do. I've been doing a lot of work here in the last couple of days, and I was putting together a chicken pen. And the thing is a lot of people nowadays, they wouldn't know where to start, on how to build a structure like a chicken pen or a shed or whatever. And I thought, that could be a pretty good side hustle a couple different ways. One, you can obviously make products and then sell them, maybe do Facebook Marketplace, that kind of thing, or a website or whatever. But learning things, that's what YouTube has been really big about teaching people stuff, not just that, but any social media. Do a video series on how to build a simple shed or chicken pen. And then it can even be taken a step further and you can do what, like courses, a course on how to build small buildings, and enclosures, the basics of it, and then do all these different videos. So there's another one that has to do with woodworking or building.
And you kind of touched on two that I had on my list because I had foods and crafts, which can start as a hobby. They're flexible. You can do them in the summer. You can go to farmers markets, fairs, festivals, locally vendor events, and you can take your food or your craft that you made to that and sell them in your spare time. It doesn't have to be a set job, hours, things like that. It can just be done in your spare time. Or you also mentioned building the pen. You could start a local service. You could schedule your appointments to only take place on the days that you're off. You could do pressure washing, auto detail, mechanic, landscaping, and all you got to do for either one of those is set up maybe a Facebook, an Insta, or a TikTok, share your little videos, share your photos to those social medias, and your little hobby could turn into a very lucrative side business. And it doesn't really cost you anything to start, and it's in your spare time.
Well, one of the things I learned about starting a small business is that when you go down to get your business license, they want to know what's your address, you know, basically brick and mortar. Maybe it's just in the town we live in, but they acted as if there was no other way. Like, well, how do you have a business if you're not, have a store location? It's like, well, because we're going to sell on the internet, and then, so basically what they wanted to know, and this is for tax purposes, is there going to be people showing up at your house to pick up any product? And I said, no, all of it's shipped. Although some people have came, but I mean, that's not our primary thing. And, so you can go down and get a business license in any of these things if you want to do it legitimately. And which, by the way, I just heard a news article on this here not too long back. They're going to start cracking down on this kind of thing a lot more. On
Really?
if you have a small business, yeah, like it used to be it was a certain dollar amount or something. Yeah, the IRS is gonna be cracking down on this, so you really need to get a business license and just pay your taxes. It's not that hard. It seemed daunting in the beginning, mostly because people were so adamant at telling the story like it was some huge disastrous thing that you knew nothing about, and it's not that bad, actually. You go down to the county, you get a business license, tell them the business that you wanna do, give them the name. It's like 75 or $79 a year, and then you have a business license. As far as taxes go, depends on what state. Some of you may never have to worry about that, but we live in California, so one of the worst tax nightmares you could think of. And we do taxes quarterly. We didn't know what we were doing, so we got on a YouTube video and we learned how to submit taxes every 3 months and what you can write off and do that kind of thing. It wasn't that bad. It's bad that you have to give up your money, but it wasn't that bad trying to figure it out. But, you named 2 things that I was thinking kinda 2 things I was thinking about. One was gardening. Um, Gardening, farmers markets are really big, like, on Saturdays or, like, well, we live down near Red Bluff, California, where they had Wednesday afternoon and Saturday mornings. Yeah, Saturday mornings, they had the farmers market. You pay whatever it is, I don't remember how much to have a little booth and just sell your product. That's something you can do. And then, oh, you named something else a minute ago that it was the same thing I was thinking.
The
Can't
local
remember what it is.
service for the pressure washing, auto detail, mechanic, that thing, or was it the food and
Yeah,
crafts?
the food, that was it, the food. On an earlier episode we've done here on Driven to Discuss, we talked about smoking meat and barbecuing and that kind of thing. And, just recently had a friend of mine that was kinda renting a little spot on our property. And, I got him to do a YouTube channel called Schneider's Smoke Shack, and because he smokes everything, and when I mean everything, he literally was, like, smoking, what was it, pies and macaroni and cheese and
Oh
meat,
yeah.
and, there was even some desserts, everything, that every night, that was what they used, and I'm like, "You should, do a YouTube channel." I mean, I didn't even know about half the stuff you could smoke, and, he took off pretty good. He kinda backed off of it, but, I mean, that can be a business. You can tell people how to smoke briskets or chicken or whatever, or what the best smoker is or whatever. You can do that, or, like you said, a service. Maybe you can cater something where you just do meat for, activities like weddings or gatherings and that kinda thing, and so, I mean, all these those are all my ideas right there on on the side hustle. You just have to have vision on, well, what do I want to do with my time? You know, if this is what I'm going to do all the time, then it better not be something I don't like to do. It better be something I do like to do. So, what's your thought?
Okay, well, you touched on a few of the ones I have. I've still got four that we didn't touch on. Some of these are very passive incomes, and some of these are active incomes. One of the most common ones, if you search for passive income or extra income, you're going to find remote work. You can get on FlexJob, Glassdoor, Indeed, LinkedIn, and on your days off, you could find something where you're working from home, maybe answering a telephone, typing up books or medical, whatever. There's so many things that you can do remotely from your home with an internet connection. So again, doesn't cost you anything to start up. It just takes some of your time. Another one that's kind of gaining a lot of speed right now is the reseller market. There are people that will go to local areas, and you can Google this, and you can buy pallets of items that were returned from Target, Walmart, any department store. You buy the whole pallet, you take it home, you go through it, you find out what's junk, what's good, what's broke, what works, whatever. And then you've got a lot of options from there. You can sell this stuff on eBay, you can sell this stuff on Facebook Marketplace, or you can do what some people do and go to farmers markets, fairs, or even buy a kiosk at a local shopping center and do what's become very popular as a bin strategy. You have a $2 bin, a $3 bin, a $4 bin, $10 bin, whatever. And these bin things are popping up everywhere. They're gaining speed very quickly. And again, it doesn't cost you a lot other than to buy the items, maybe buy some bins and set the stuff out and watch people come up and buy it. And you mentioned the smoked items a minute ago. My ex-wife has a craft business that she started called Amy's Cute Crafts. She takes all recycled material and so it's all free stuff, pallets, old bottles that they use, whatever, and she makes crafts on them. And then she takes them to the local, like maybe the VFW is having a fundraiser for some kid doing cancer and they need vendors. She pays 25 bucks and she goes in and she sells a bunch of stuff at that there. So the reseller thing is becoming very, very popular, and it doesn't take a lot to get started. You buy a pallet or two for a couple $100 and you're on your way. One of the other things that, and this is one that I'm very interested in because I literally think anybody can do this for no money and make decent passive income. And all you have to do is take something that you know anything about, or you could steal this entire idea. And it's digital downloads. You could go through a cookbook, write down 100 recipes, make a digital cookbook. You can talk about your recipes on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, whatever. Take some pictures, make a few of these items, and sell a digital download. You don't have to touch anything, make anything, do anything. People just buy your digital cookbook and you make all the money off of it. So, and then the last one, we both have talked about it, but we haven't directly said it, which is a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
A
I was
YouTube
gonna
channel only needs one of two things. You have to be entertaining or you have to be educational.
Yeah.
We're trying to do one or the other. We're about good at half of one. So if you can be educational or entertaining, and if you're female, all you have to do is look good, you can get in front of a camera and start a YouTube channel. Talk about whatever it is you know something about. Like you said, chicken pens. You know how many
Mhm.
people out there would watch a channel on chicken pens?
Oh, yeah.
Thousands or hundreds of thousands. And it
Yep.
doesn't take very many views to make a couple bucks. We both have a YouTube channel. Mine was how to get hired at Walmart. I've got like 3,500 subscribers and I probably make $100 a month on my YouTube channel. And I don't really do anything with it. Make a 2, 3, 5 minute video here and there. That's about it.
Right. Yeah, no, I was gonna get to the YouTube thing. I know a lot of people, they're just like, "No way, I'm not talking in front of a camera," and that's fine. But, I know people are really into, "I don't wanna put any money out. I don't want really any risk," because you have risk when you like, with the t-shirt thing, that was a huge risk to put that kind
Yep.
of money out. YouTube really is one of the best things. I think I make anywhere from 150 to $350 a month. But, a lot of my money is made with referrals because I get people to come work for Walmart. And what people want is they want something that's authentic. And I love doing the referrals because I don't have to lie about it. I don't have to build it up. We actually we work at Walmart at a job that is excellent, pays excellent. It's what people want to do with their life instead of being out on the road 4 to 6 weeks at a time, not making a lot of money. And
Yep.
so for me, it's an easy sell. And I've been doing it for 18 and a half years. I never wanted to do it. I just made a YouTube channel because I wanted to genuinely just help people, which I'm still doing that.
And that's how I
But as
started
far
mine. I never thought it was going to be something.
yeah, and I never wanted to do the referrals. They came out with this referral program, and my buddy up in Alaska and my wife, they said, "We don't understand. Why won't you do the referral thing?" And I go, "Because I don't want people to think that I sold out for money. Because my first and foremost thing is I'm trying to help people." And they said, "Yeah, well, you're still going to be helping people. You're going to help them even more because you're going to get them to get into a job with what you're talking about in the first place, trucking."
Yep.
And so reluctantly, I went, "Okay, I'll start mentioning it." And now I mention it all the time. And I get tons of people that are just like profusely just thanking me. "Thank you. I'm so glad you mentioned this. If it wasn't for you, I would have never done this or been interested." And so you never know what it is, but I picked something that I knew the most about. It'll be 24 years this January that I've been driving a truck. And I thought, well, what do I know? I know more about that than anything else. And I got the track record to show that I've never had an accident or a ticket. I've been at my job for a very long time. And so you get legitimacy, or you get uh, credibility with people. And so you can take that into, well, like, let's say you barbecue and you're showing them these recipes and you're playing it out. You start to get credibility with people when they try it out. People get in the comments and say, "Hey, I tried that. That was awesome. Everybody loved it." And so you're building a community, you're building credibility. And, you know, in something like that, you'll get brand deals. Let's say, I don't know, Green Mountain Grill or Traeger or one of these companies that build these smokers will get a hold of you and say, they may give you the smoker, be like, "Here, we're going to give it to you if you promote our smoker and do a review on it." Um, you know, you do that, at some point, they will actually pay you money to do it. I haven't got to that point, but like today, I'm going to be doing the drawing for a free dash cam. Um, Viopo got a hold of me and said, "Do a review on our dash cam." And it's like a $300 setup. And so I did a review. Well, I've already got a dash cam. and so I'm gonna give it away,
Like the one I
today.
bought.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you got skin one, there you go. And, for one, that gives you credibility with people. They're like, "Hey, he's giving stuff away." Or the money he makes on YouTube, he's using it to buy products to give to us so that we'll watch him and then realize it's not just some BS thing that I'm trying to blow off. It's, what I'm saying is real.
Yep.
So YouTube really is a big one. Um, you can use just your phone and an internet connection. Maybe it didn't cost you a dime because everybody has a phone, right? Or probably has internet. And that's pretty popular with people. But one thing for sure, I don't care what you do for a side hustle, just know this, you're going to have to do some work. There's always work involved. You know, things don't come for nothing. If you're on YouTube, you're going to have to learn editing. You're going to have to be able to talk in front of the camera constantly with a good flow. You need to come up with ideas, thumbnails, titles, and all this. And, what else are you going to do with your time? I mean, you know, there's things I like to do. I don't want to just sit around and eat and watch TV all the time. I got to be doing something. And I think a lot of people are like that.
Yep. And with the YouTube channel, somebody doesn't want to be on camera. They don't have to be. They could just be the voice behind the
Yep.
camera and put up pictures or videos that they took describing what they're doing. And they just be the voice in the background. And if they're not good at it, editing the video, you can get on a website called Fiverr, Fiverr, and you can get somebody very cheaply for as little as $5 to edit your video for you so you
Yeah.
can put it up on YouTube.
Well, and that was the next thing I was going to bring up. There's a lot of stuff you don't have to do because we have AI now. I know that everybody's like, "Oh, AI, it's gonna take over the world and kill us all or make us slaves or whatever." Yeah, maybe, but in the meanwhile, it actually does a bunch of work for us where you don't need to learn things like possibly editing or maybe you don't want to be on the camera, so you know, I'll give you an example. This is the best way to do it. I have from a 5-year-old all the way up to a 19-year-old, and we've homeschooled all the way through. Well, my wife, she takes AI. We have it's called Midjourney, and Midjourney is an AI service where it makes photos, and you put in the prompts, and you can make everything from fantasy to a real life thing to whatever. But she took it down to a pretty simple thing where she does coloring pages with AI. She'll
Oh,
put the prompts in what she wants. It needs to be like a dragon or a teddy bear or whatever with a mountain scene behind it or whatever. It's probably a terrible example, but she tells it what she wants. It brings it up. And then she takes, and you were talking about digital downloads, it makes it into a digital download, and then she sells those on your Etsy store, is that right? On her Etsy store.
Etsy and
And so
Shopify are the two big ones for digital downloads.
yeah. Well, we've done Shopify, but Etsy, I mean, it's pretty much free, right? I mean, close to it, it's really cheap. Shopify, yeah, sure, I had to put a little bit out each month, but, this is just a little side hustle for her because she's gonna make them anyway for her kids, so why not make it to where a mom can get on there and just be like, "You know what? I'm tired of buying the Mickey Mouse thing for a book for 2.95 down at Walmart or whatever. I want something cool and unique." They get online, they find this niche that she's doing, let's say just with teddy bears or something. They can download like packs of these things and then print them on their printer at home. She makes money and then she didn't have to draw this out. She just puts a prompt in and AI made it for her. So when we do our like this podcast, when we're done with this podcast, I'm going to take this audio and I know how to get on what's called Adobe Audition and I can make the audio sound good, but it takes a bunch of work. They have a thing called Adobe Podcast. I take the audio file, drop it into this thing, AI does its thing, comes out with great audio. I just put it back with the video, save me about an hour, you know. So AI can be a major side hustle aid or idea generator or it could be your main business. I don't know. So it's just an idea there. So maybe you should
All
make some
right.
games with it.
Well, the gaming community frowns upon using AI to do artwork because it's not as good as an original artist. It is way cheaper. And the gaming community is kind of Oh gosh, what's the best way to explain this? Full of themselves. I mean, they've got opinions. It's almost like getting into a battle of politics when it comes to making board games. So I stay away from some of that stuff. I get the answers I need. I look for the information I need, and I kind of stay out of the battles in the forums and the pages. But yeah, I mean, like I said, most of these ideas that we've come up with, you can start with zero money, very little money, and you could make anywhere from $500 to $1,000 a month. So maybe you want to buy a new car. You don't have the money for your payment. You could spend a couple of extra days a month, or just a few hours a month if you do like the digital download thing, creating something, and then just let it run, and you don't have to touch it again. Vending machines is another one that I forgot I had on my list.
Oh,
You can
yep.
buy a soda machine or a vending machine for $500 on Facebook. Learn how to fix it yourself with a couple YouTube videos if there's something wrong with it, or keep it in good shape. Put it in a high traffic area, and you can make hundreds of dollars a month off of a vending machine that just sits there. You don't have to do anything except collect the money.
Right. Well, you make your rounds and pick up the money, yeah.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it could
Collecting
be
money is a
kinda.
lot of work.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no. There's so many ideas. I mean, it there's no shortage of ideas. There's only a shortage of good ideas that you'll wanna do unless you
Correct.
have vision to see them. You gotta be able to have the vision to see them. I was gonna share something on screen, but I didn't have it ready, some of the AI stuff because you were saying that they say the AI isn't as good. They might wanna double check on that because it's gotten a lot better now.
That's one of the arguments that's going on right now is some people say it's great, some people say it's not. Some people, they get upset because it's taking away jobs from people who could be doing things. So there's both sides of the coin.
Well, yeah, they say the same thing about Walmart, but I don't plan on quitting tomorrow, so. So, yeah, a side hustle could be for fun. It could be to make extra money. It could be to fill your time with, activity. Um, but like I said in the beginning, if it's something you don't make money on, it's a hobby. If it's something you make
Yep.
money on, it's a side hustle or a business. Oh, there was a couple others I forgot to mention. If you like hunting and fishing, where we live up in this area, there's people that do guided service, like
Oh, yeah.
guide them for hunting or the best fishing places in the mountains that will require like a 3-hour hike into the mountains or a ride on a horse, where to camp, where to fish. There's tons of people, that's what they want. They don't want to be down at the campsite down by the main highway with a little creek. They want to go back and see that, awesome backcountry thing. If there's somebody they can get a hold of and be like, take us where we need to go. We don't want to waste any time. We want to go right to the cool stuff. We'll pay you. That's the thing, and you can be out doing what you love, hiking, camping, hunting, whatever.
Yep. Fishing
Um,
charters are expensive, but they're a lucrative business in the right months of the year.
oh yeah, yeah. Well, yeah. Um, you just have to have vision for what you want to do.
But like you said, make it something you enjoy as well, because then if it's not successful, it's still a fun hobby.
Right, right. No, I was actually gonna do, let's see if I can do this. Um, Maybe I'll just do entire screen. Uh, no, no, maybe not. Maybe we'll do window. Okay. So, let me put this down here. So yeah, AI took the truck that I originally had and made it into a vector. This is one of the things. Can you see this right now, Rich?
No, I was going to say, all I see is a black screen right now.
Oh, um, maybe I don't know how to do this right.
Yeah, you
Wait,
disappeared and a black screen came up.
is that right? Let me try it again. Hmm. I
Now
got an
you're
idea.
back.
Okay. Sorry, folks. Using Riverside. Just been learning how to work this thing. Um, yeah, I could do it now. Hold on. Um,
This might stay in the show. It might get edited out.
Maybe. Yeah, yeah. So if I do the window, I'll do this window here. Okay, so you can probably see it now.
There you go. The
So, I
tanker.
mean, like, this was my original Peterbilt when I worked for this company, and my wife wanted to make, what's called a vector graphic out of it. Well, AI
Okay.
automatically did it from a photo that I have.
Wow.
Did this here the other day for Happy Father's Day thing. You know, it's not an actual photo, but that's not what I wanted. I wanted like a vector thing. And, just looking at stuff like this could be a side hobby because you like playing around with AI, or maybe you want to get on Photoshop and make things. People buy this stuff all the time.
Yeah, you could be an artist and have digital downloads.
Yeah, exactly. B footage for let me pop back here. You can have B footage for like people's YouTube videos of like let's say it's like our type of YouTube channel where trucks are just going by. Matter of fact, I've been talking to a guy that has he has a drone. Well, he has like his own side hustle where he does photography, video editing, and one of the things he does is drone footage. And so I was talking to him through the referral thing because he's thinking about becoming a Walmart driver. And I said, "Hey, if I pay you, would you do some drone footage for me for like the Walmart truck driving down the highway or like one of the distribution centers or something like that?" And he says, "Yeah, you can do that." I'll probably pay him a couple $100 per video clip, most likely, to have some unique. I could go get a drone, but I mean, to get a decent drone and get the license and all that, it's probably going to cost me. I'm thinking about $4,000 or $5,000 for what I want,
Wow.
or I could just pay him a couple $100 and have him do it for me. You know, I'm still going to get a drone eventually, but I refuse to get the $500-600 drone. If I'm going to do it, I'm going to seriously do it. But I mean, that's what he does. That's his passion, his hobby. Well, it's not a hobby, it's a side hustle because he makes money at it. Maybe you fly drones and get, beautiful sunsets and all that. You can make money at it, you know, another example.
Yep. Yeah, that's a great YouTube channel. You don't have to be on the video and you don't have to be in the audio. Your drone and your videos could be all you need for a YouTube channel.
That's what I was just going to say with everything from the digital things. She can show people how to do that and never show her face. Matter of fact, they have AI that'll do an AI voice if you don't
Yep.
even want to talk on there.
Correct.
And like what you were just saying now, like the footage and stuff you can do. There's options. There's all kinds of options.
Yep.
So, I mean, with that, I think we've pretty much nailed it good on what our side hustle is, what ideas that people can do, some of the ways to leverage things, everyday things that we have, like a phone and an internet connection, chat GPT or whatever, and get a side hustle going that you like to do. I think we've pretty much covered it. What do you think, Rich?
I think that's about right. If anybody ever makes it big or makes a lot of money with any of our ideas, just don't forget the little guy.
Well, yeah, just send the royalty check too.
The address will be in the description.
So,
My Cash App is R Warne.
well, we are going to do that, but we don't need your checks. No, what we need is some suggestions on who do you think would be a good guest, of someone you may know, or somebody you'd like to see as a guest. Send that to my email or Rich's email. Probably send it to my email, which I'll put it in the description, Don at 20plustrucking.com. And then Rich does the Warren report. So if you have any fun stories, some unique things that maybe he can put in his report, email him and give him the idea. We'd appreciate the feedback.
Yep. My ultimate goal for this podcast is one day I'd like to get Tony Justice on here because
Okay.
I'm a big country music fan and he actually started as a truck driver and I'm sure he's got some great stories.
It's a goal. You heard it here, folks. So if we get him on here eventually, then we've gotten to our ultimate goal. We win.
We'll make that announcement on episode 504.
Yeah. So stay tuned. You got to watch everyone though. All right, Rich. Well, let's call it a wrap then, and
Appreciate it.
this will be the week then.
All
Catch you
right.
guys
See you
next
next
time.
week.